as well get a copy of that. This story is something you don't want to miss, and you're going to get to hear it right from Marcus Wheldon. So Marcus, join us here on the stage. Get us fired up for a march.
How y'all doing? Let me adjust the speaker, I'm a little tall. You know, it's truly an honor to actually be here at the Second Amendment March, because last year I attended the march. I was invited by a good friend of mine, mentor, friend. So, you guys know Mr. Rick Ector. He doesn't even need, I don't need to run his credentials. But the beautiful thing about it was, in 2014, I was charged with 7 felonies. I was facing close to 30 years in prison, actually. And coming home from work, I obviously wore a Santa Claus outfit for Christmas time, a paid gig, and helping a young lady out at the gas station. It got crazy, it got violent when two individuals actually started physically harassing her. And during this time, I actually seen how the justice system works when they target gun owners when you use self-defense. So during this process, you know, I reached out to Rick Ector, who was, I mean, he's just all over the news. I said, this guy right here, man, I got to get in contact with this guy. He was on Later Rip, he was speaking about my case, and I said, I got to get in contact with this guy. So I was actually sitting in the Wayne County Jail, Wayne County Jail, and I looked over on the TV screen from the bars, and I seen Santa Claus shooter in Detroit shoots people over Mrs. Claus. I said, boy, is that fake news or what? You get here and you take a contrived story and push it out just to make it hit media and national attention. So Rick says, you know, come out to the Second Amendment March. And I was fairly ambivalent about the gun culture at the time, and I was like, where's it at? Lansing? Okay. You know, if Rick said it's good, I'm gonna take Rick's word. The keynote speaker was C.J. Grisham, Overcarry, Texas. And I did my background, I looked up some people, and I said, okay. I get here, and at the time I was about 40 grand in legal fees and debt. I was on tether, house arrest, a monitoring device that kind of follows you around and know your whereabouts and restricts you from leaving the state. I guess I was a flight risk. I don't know if I look like a flight risk, but according to the prosecutor, I was. And everybody here embraced me. It made me feel like I had a second family from another mother. And in my book, I call it a culture shock. I experienced a culture shock with the gun community, people who didn't necessarily look like me, but shared the same passion. And, you know, it brought me to tears when C.J. Grisham actually reached out on Facebook and decided to help me with my funds and my case and promote. And, you know, I see so many familiar faces here that were actually in support of me during this whole this arduous process. And, you know, this is not where actually my firearm, I could say firearm, you know, this is not where I actually wanted to, this is where my firearm wanted to carry started. Before this case, I started carrying a firearm because my best friend was carjacked and murdered on the east side of Detroit, okay? And how many people here actually call police before something happens? Nobody. Police officers are meant to be reactive to situations, okay? My boy, he laid on the ground and bled out through his mouth and back and ended up dying in the ambulance after they picked him up 30 minutes later. I realized at that point that it's up to us to be proactive with our safety. And it was a wake-up call. And I started to do research with the Second Amendment, what the Second Amendment was all about during the case. Of course, you're on house arrest, you're sitting here and you're like, okay, I got all this time to read. First, I was drinking alcohol, really depressed, going in a downward spiral. But because of my daughter, I was able to kind of get myself together and realize, hey, I gotta be strong. You know, 7 felonies is a lot. And of course, being taken out of this world, she will have no one left. So I started to research. Rick was educating me on the gun laws. I actually started to get my attorney up to par with understanding the gun laws, because I tell you, fighting the case, you need a proactive gun attorney who knows firearms. Matter of fact, we got one over here, Terry Johnson, a good friend of mine, who was promoting firearm legal protection, which I didn't have at the time, which I tell everyone, if you do decide to carry, which everyone here is, you definitely need to get something like that, because financially you can be destroyed in the blink of an eye. I mean, 401k emptied out, checking savings account emptied out, family support is going to only be so much because everybody has bills to pay. But these were things I was not knowledgeable on because I wasn't being proactive with the community that exercised their Second Amendment right. So, this water's getting out of my way. So, everything started to hit me like a ton of bricks. I said, you know what? If anybody's going through what I'm going through at this moment, and keep in mind, I'm here in this march, freedom uncertain, okay? I said, I need to be able to be a beacon and get out here and start to voice my story and let people know that if you aren't educated on the firearms community and you don't know what it is all about and you don't know the law, there's a lot of things that can happen. Making a statement, you know, simple things as just making a statement when you get arrested. I don't really advocate for people to make a statement in the beginning. Excuse me. I don't advocate people to make a statement right away, because one thing about it, when you're engaged in a shooting, your adrenaline is on 1,000. Okay? I actually, oh, we got flags flying everywhere. That must mean I'm doing a great job. So, when I seen that so many people in the Second Amendment community, doesn't matter what color you are, doesn't matter Democrat, Republican, people were just, they came together for one common cause, and that was the right to defend themselves. And it was like a brotherhood. How can you have so many conversations and be able to break so many barriers? Well, one way is to build rapport with somebody. Well, how do you build rapport with somebody? Have something in common. Well, guess what? I think we all have something in common here. So, the thing that really stood out, I was 7 felonies exonerated in 2016. Now, keep in mind, this case happened in 2014. So you can imagine the long, just laborious process of sitting back and praying to God that you're going to be able to see your family again. The first thing that my attorney told me, he said, they're offering you a plea deal. You're facing 7 felonies, 20 years in prison. We're going to give you 1 year in jail. Take that, you get out, good behavior, you have a felony, but hey, you get that off in about 5-6 years. Don't worry about a job. Who needs a job? And I sat there, had to make a big decision. Do I risk going to trial and facing 30 years? Or do I take this plea deal, guaranteed year, Wayne County Jail, family can come see you. They're right down the street. Or do I stick to my guns, literally, and take it to trial? So, I took it to trial. And the thing I wanted to tell people, at the time, I couldn't speak, actually Tom was, I don't know, where's Tom, open carry? Tom, he said, hey, you want to speak at the event last year? I said, I'm really kind of tied down. The news were all, they were all in my business, and I didn't want to make a bad impression and throw off the case. But I wanted to tell people so much, I just didn't have the time to do it. But now I have the time to do it. I have the time to be able to voice what's going on. The Second Amendment is about tyranny. And people look at me and say, well, tyranny, that's kind of an archaic term. It's like, I don't think people are really a tyrannical government. That's what the founding fathers, that was back in the late 1700s. Well, I'll tell you. You want to know what tyranny is right now? Prosecutor misconduct, law enforcement misconduct, anything that violates your Bill of Rights, anything that violates your human rights, which is something that's going on constantly through Congress with a pen, and they're doing it under your nose, under a party that you may think have your best interests. So when you have guys who actually go through the system and actually see how it works and understand the process, now you can see for yourself that, hey, prosecutor misconduct is real. And so many people are being railroaded into the system and taking pleas for exercising the Second Amendment right and so many other things. There's so many other reasons you can be incarcerated, but of course we're focusing on here the right to defend yourself. And when I seen that, I said, wow, how many people are like me? Oh, and there's a ton of people like me. I got people inboxing me on Facebook to this day asking me, hey, how did you get through it? My son's in jail, and he's facing X amount of time. He's sitting in a cell right now for 9 months. He's been in there. He can't afford bond. My bond was 50 grand, 10%. And his bond was 250,000, the guy I was conversing with, his mom I was talking to. And I told her, I said, listen, he's gonna have to stay strong. And he's gonna have to fight through it, even though he's sitting there eating those bologna sandwiches, having those cavity searches when you have to strip naked and look at parts of your body that even the only people who have ever seen it is your mother and your wife. And it can be very, very disheartening when you look at a screen, like I said, and see your face on TV and they're labeling you the villain. So what I did was I decided to write a book. And I said, well, if I can touch one person with this book, my job is done. And Rick Ector pushed me. He said, hey, get your story out there. I get calls from him all night. Hey, where's the book? Hey, where's the book? I said, Rick, I'm working on it. Well, hey, man, you got to get it out here. You got lives to save. So I want to thank everybody here, who has supported me through the process. I know a lot of you. Some of you are, well, most of you are new faces, but I'm sure I'll get the chance to meet you when I step down from the podium and we continue this march. And just remember, be proactive. A law enforcement job is to be reactive to situations. Our job is to be proactive with our safety. And I'm gonna leave you on that note. And I guess I'll be over here in the booth. I do have some flyers. I would love to pass some flyers out and get people to follow me on social media and be able to mix me. It's always good to see people commenting on statuses, voicing their opinion, learning more about people, and because we all come from the same struggle, just in different ways. So, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
So there's a gentleman that pretty much he had to go through stuff kind of alone, right? So a couple things we need to learn from that I would like to take away. Number one, when you hear about some profile cases or some things going on, dig into it. And if it's legit, then you need to support your fellow brothers and sisters in arms who are going through some stuff and make sure that